So I was going to do a video about the um, Garruk Plainswalker deck. I have the core 2021 set, um, where the particular Garruk Plainswalker is Garruk Savage Herald. It's obviously a Garruk Plainswalker. Enters with 5 loyalty counters. It costs 4 and 2 forests. The +1 ability is reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, put it in the bottom of your library. So helpful for thinning your deck, getting like an extra draw, so to speak. The -2 ability, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. So kind of like the fight ability without the drawback of your opponent's creature dealing damage back to you. So maybe you deal damage and kill one of your opponent's creatures before the combat stage. They'll have one less creature to block with, maybe. The -7 ability is until end of turn, creatures you control gain, quote, you may have this creature assigned its combat damage as though it weren't blocked, unquote. So pretty cool, being able to, um, you know, basically do damage to your opponent regardless of whether the creature gets blocked or not. Garruk's Harbinger. It's a 4/3 beast for 1 and 2 forest. Has hexproof from black. Whenever Garruk's Harbinger deals combat damage to a player or Plainswalker, look at that many cards from the top of your library. You may reveal a creature card or a Garruk Plainswalker card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. So again, sort of some deck thinning / drawing. Where he's a 4/3, unless you buff him, you're potentially only drawing 4 to look for a creature or planeswalker. And if your opponent blocks, unless you give this guy trample, he's not doing any damage to use that, but still pretty good. Primal Might. It's a sorcery for X in a forest. Target creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn. Then it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So, mid to late game, especially with some of the big guys that are going to be in this deck, that's a game changer. You're potentially giving it, +5/+5 or +10/+10 to an alright big guy. Yeah, get rid of one of your opponent's creatures. If it doesn't have Death Touch, your guy staying on the battlefield to then move to combat stage to deal with another creature. Garruk's Warsteed. It's a 3/5 Rhino for 3 and 2 forest. Has Vigilance. When Garruk's Warsteed enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Garruk Savage Herald, reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. So again, a little bit of deck thinning if you're searching your library for that Plainswalker, and where you're drawing it out, you get that much sooner depending on where it would have been in your deck. Um, 2 copies of that guy, so um, you know, couple of guys that are on the battlefield. Their 3/5s with vigilance, so they could potentially attack and or block without having to be tapped. And in addition to searching, next we have Illusian Caryatid, probably saying that wrong. It's a 1/1 plant that taps to add 1 mana of any color. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, add 2 mana of any color instead. So, kind of a mana dork. Next we have Drowsing Pterodon. It's a 3/3 dinosaur for 1 in a forest. It has Defender, and it has a reminder text. This creature can't attack. As long as you control a creature with power 4 or greater, Drowsing Pterodon can attack as though it didn't have Defender. And there were 3 copies of this. I had given another dinosaur card from this Garruk deck to a friend for their dinosaur deck. That particular card was Ornery Dilophosaur, which was a 2/2 dinosaur for 3 in a forest. It has Death Touch. The reminder text is any amount of damage this deals to a creature is enough to destroy it. When Ordinary Dilophosaur attacks, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, Ordinary Dilophosaur gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So, obviously 2/2 with Death Touch, that's pretty cool. I didn't necessarily need it in this deck, so I'm gonna have to find something to replace that with. There were 2 copies of that. Nessian Hornbeetle. It's a 2/2 insect for 1 in a forest. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control another creature with power 4 or greater, put a 1/1 counter on Nessian Hornbeetle. And there were 3 copies of that. Kind of interesting how some of these cards are separated. I found another copy of the Mana Dork guy from earlier, the Elysian Cardian. Not sure why in this particular case they weren't together. Must have just been how they went into the deck. Almighty Brushwag. It's a 1/1 Brushwag for a forest. Has Trample. For 3 in a forest. Almighty Brushwag gets +3/+3 until end of turn. So a 1/1 with Trample is not really going to do much unless it's buffed, but you can, it does have that ability to, the 4 CMC to get +3/+3 until end of turn. So, you potentially have that 1/1 trample becoming a 4/4 trample if you have the mana for it. 3 copies of that guy. Pride Malkin. It's a 2/1 cat for 2 in a forest. When Pride Malkin enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Each creature you control is a 1/1 counter on it, has trample. The reminder text is they can deal excess combat damage to a player or Plainswalker. So that's sort of why I like trample when I have big guys, because it kind of stinks to have a 8/8 or something blocked by a 1/1, and then oh well, I can't do that giant 10/10, and it's only taking out a 1/1. But if you have trample, then you're dealing the excess damage to someone else. So 3 copies of the cat guy. Predatory worm. It's a 4/4 worm for 3 in the forest. Has vigilance. The reminder text says attacking doesn't cause this creature to tap. Predatory worm gets +2/+2 as long as you control a Garruk Plainswalker. Worms are known for potentially being big and doing fun stuff. This one's not really any exception. It's a 4/4 with vigilance that if you have your Plainswalker out is a 6/6. Not quite as big as other worms if the Plainswalker's not out, but it's also only 4 CMC, CMC, so some of the other worms are potentially like 7 to 10 mana, so somewhat balanced. 3 copies of him. Willwood Patrol. It's a 4/2 creature scout for 2 in the forest. It has trample. The reminder text: this creature can deal excess combat damage to the player or Plainswalker it's attacking. And there's 4 copies of this guy. And we get to the basic land, where this is a mono green deck. It's just going to be the forest. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 21, 22, 23. So there's 25 forests in this. All are pretty much normal. I think there's 3 variations on the artwork for the, but then, it's like 24 what I would call regular forests, and then 1 kind of, I don't know if I'd say brighter, but slightly altered artwork for one of the forests. Next we have Ram Through, which is an instant for 1 in a forest. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. If the creature you control has trample, excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller. So it's basically a card that's making your creature fight one of your opponent's creatures, but I don't know if the original set that this was from, if they didn't have the keyword fight at the time, or if they just mostly spelled it out and then occasionally refer to it as fight. I don't remember, but like Ram Through's been around for a while, way before this 2021 deck. really like this card for, if you have bigger creatures. And the benefit, I think, fight didn't always work with the trample going to the opponent, but this particular card does specify the excess will go to your opponent. Garruk's Uprising. It's an enchantment for 2 in a forest. When Garruk Uprising enters the battlefield, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Creatures you control have trample. The reminder text says they can deal excess combat damage to a player or planeswalker they're attacking. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under you control, draw a card. So you're potentially drawing a card when this hits the battlefield, and for each subsequent creature entering the battlefield that's power is 4 or greater, in a deck built around big stompy creatures, that's really helpful for drawing cards. And then the added benefit of giving your creatures trample, which you obviously want big creatures to have trample, so that if they're blocked by little weenies, they kill the weenies and then do extra damage or excess damage to your opponent. 2 copies of that enchantment. Titanic Growth. It's an instant for 1 in a forest. Target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. There's 3 copies of this. This is a M21 version, but Titanic Growth has been around forever. I can't remember how many, what set it came out in, but I remember some point in the 2010s, between 2010 and 2020 somewhere, having Titanic Growth in a different deck. It was among cards I owned, and when I was building a deck. So hopefully you found some value in that Garruk Plainswalker deck I just shared with you. If you like this, please feel free to hit the like button and share this with someone else who might also enjoy Magic the Gathering. If you like to see videos like this or other ones about Magic, please feel free to hit the subscribe and bell notification so you can see other videos like this when I upload them. Thanks, and have a good day.